So I was thinking this about it if you ever want to talk more about that, very
Everybody. This microphone hates me. There we go. Hi. Welcome. Still not? Well, it's going to be fun. I can't even see. I think we might have a battery problem. I might have to just talk at you like this. Can you hear me okay? I prefer using the microphone, but it seems to be blinking. Anyway, hello, welcome. I'm Sheila Spillanti. I am the director of the MFA program at Chatham, but I'm also, most importantly tonight, the very lucky person who got to be the professor for the independent literary publishing class, also known as English 595. This is a semester-long kind of adventure into publishing for our students. We task graduate students with kind of an impossible thing. They are asked to create a literary press from eggs to apples. That's a phrase we learned this semester. Nobody knew what soup to nuts meant, so we had to look it up together, and it just means from A to Z, from the start to the finish. So they have to work not just hard, but also smart to get all of the things accomplished that need to be accomplished in 15 weeks, just a short 15 weeks. So that means that they have written mission statements, they have created logos that express their vision, they've built websites and social media accounts to support their vision, and most importantly, they've gone out into the literary community and solicited work by writers they believe in, and then shaped that work into beautiful books that you can actually hold in your hands, and we hope you will. The result tonight is 4 new presses debuting 4 new writers. We're delighted that all 4 of our writers have traveled to be here with us tonight to share their words. The publishers will be introducing the writers separately, but I get the honor of introducing the publishers. And I do want to say that after the readings are over today, we'll have a Q&A with the writers up front, and then book signing and more revelry and cake afterwards. So I'm going to introduce the publishers one at a time, and then I will introduce the first reader. Publishers, stand up or wave or something when I say your name. Bobby Kusk, Waypoint Comics publisher. Bobby Kusk is a second-year MFA student focusing in fiction. He enjoys writing prose and drawing comics that explore twists on conventional comic genres like horror and superheroes. Here's Bobby. Elena, sure, yes. Elena Polinsky, publisher of Voids. Elena Polinsky is a speculative poet from Eastern Ohio. She is a Margaret L. Whitford Fellow at Chatham University's MFA program and a co-curator of Word Circus reading series. She enjoys writing about cyborgs, AI sentience, and weird cults. She also passed her thesis board this morning. Congratulations. I'm jumping out of alphabetical order for a reason. Chloe Spots, Broken Bottle Press. Chloe Spots is a first-year MFA student and a social media fellow for the program. Chloe is trained in poetry and creative nonfiction, often writing on themes of religion, family, and pop culture. She loves to experiment with traditional form and mesh poetic language into her prose. And our 4th publisher, unfortunately, our 4th publisher, Rowan Slepian, cannot be here tonight because he is ill, but his press is represented by his friends and his author, and let me tell you something about Rowan now. Rowan is a first-year MFA student at Chatham University and a Margaret L. Whitford Fellow in Writing. They write fiction that explores themes within the intersections of boyhood, masculinity, and technology, and tutor at Chatham's Writing Center. Their work has been published in the Sigma Tau Delta Rectangle and the Pitt News. And as I said, Rowan's not here, but Rowan is with us, hopefully watching on a live stream. Maybe? Do we know?
I think
Maybe.
so. I think so.
Hi, Rowan. These 4 MFA students can now call themselves editors and publishers and literary citizens of the highest order. I'm really honored to have been part of their creative and professional publishing adventure. We've had so much fun this semester. I really love this class. I guess teach it. It seems like a dream, really, truly. I am hoping that you're going to enjoy this, sit back, as I said before, have refreshments afterwards. And now I'm going to pretend like I am Rowan Slepian. I'm going to read exactly what Rowan gave me to read. Hi, everyone. As Sheila mentioned, my name is Rowan, and I'm the founder and managing editor of Shift Sprint Press. I started Shift Sprint Press in order to publish literary and speculative fiction with powerful language and timely themes. And it has been my honor to work with one of my closest friends, Will Roth. I met Will in my sophomore year of undergrad at the University of Pittsburgh. For those who don't know me, I played Super Smash Bros. Competitively with the Pitt Smash Club. Shout out to all the Pitt people who came. How many are there? Welcome, neighbors, friends. Okay, one day at a meeting, I mentioned offhand that I was studying writing to someone, and they pointed to Will and said, "That's crazy, that guy does writing too." 4 years later, and here we are. Ever since that day, Will has inspired me as a writer. He instilled in me a love of word choice, wordplay, and word games, and being around him has made me a more caring, genuine person. He has an astounding eye for language, tone, and voice, and a love for craft that steps beyond the page and into the everyday. I'd like to give you an example. Those of you who have purchased a copy of Unimaginable Little Things, if you look closely at the cover, you'll see sequences of numbers in the background. It's a reference to the first story in the collection, A Memoir of a Freelance Numericist, where the narrator designs codes for a living. A few months ago, when I came up with an idea for the cover, I told Will, and his immediate response was, "That's fine, but you have to let me choose the sequence of numbers." No keyboard mashing, it's important. And I laughed. You know, why not? But I expected no less from a writer who cares so deeply for every syllable. Throughout the whole first story, too, none of the codes you see are random. And the more I read them, the more of a ring they have. They are meaningful and wonderful. And Will, I do not know another writer who could make 4AK719993JB2SK4K_ T*M unquote as seriously as you do. That was painful, though.
Yeah. It's got a lot in there if you think about it.
And now here's the formal bit. Will Roth is a senior at the University of Pittsburgh, where he studies English writing and secondary English education. He presented at the 2025 and 2026 National English Honor Society conventions and has published short fiction and poetry in the Pitt News, Forbes and Fifth, Eastern Seabirds, Moonstone Art, Silent Spark Press, and Bridge Inc. He is passionate about the mundanity and made-up words. Everyone, please give it up for Will Roth.
Not a microphone, but I'm studying to be a teacher, so being loud is part of my major. If Rowan was here and not infectiously ill, I would give him a hug. Thank you, Rowan. I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to read the 4th and final story from my collection. It is called Shell Interior. It's the namesake. It's got a quote that's on the bookmark, and I guess the quote is the front as well. So I'm going to read it. I hope you guys enjoy. I did not prepare anything up here, but I guess I prepared this part. So please enjoy. Shell Interior. Poltro Bravino's suit was neutrally buoyant, sophisticated, functioned with consideration to depth, to air levels. He trusted it, for he designed it himself. Despite this, as he floated, he ran his gloved fingers along the valved bottom of the air tank's buoyancy mechanism, just to check. He ensured the screws were in place, tight, the container was firm, sound, the sensors were on, calibrated. His fingers did this unconsciously. Poltro Bravino floated in the depths of the Pacific, already 2 months into his swimming expedition. 2 months since he'd walked into the Japanese surf with his camera beside him and 4 years of testing and training behind him. Today, he had kicked his flippers alongside grenadiers and dories, cruising within eyesight of the seafloor. As he swam, the friction charged his flashlight, which illuminated the sandy ground and the swimming friends surrounding him. Ridgeheads, hatchetfish, tuna. His gloved hands checked the flashlight unbidden. Correct temperature, clean glass, smooth intra-suit connection. Now he kicked no longer. He let his body float, unmoving, neutrally buoyant, the sea life passing by like wind around a tree. He checked his air tank. He regulated his breathing. He stared at the seafloor. A remnant lied here, man-made. It filled him with unease. Red shell, bent landing gear, tail missing, propeller blades splayed out, broken culprits. On the body, upside down beneath ridges of barnacles, was a faded flag of Kiribati and a big white police maritime unit lettering. The belly of the dead machine faced him, its windshield eye hidden underneath. He did not swim down to look. It would be mangled. He would have to get close to investigate. His fingers rose to check the flashlight again. And inside would only be things he wished not to see. Ocean skeletons. He'd passed many already. He floated. His camera clipped and tethered to his side, its pressure-resistant case, its underwater lens, its hand-innovated storage and resolution capacity. The site offered itself to photography, but instead he just floated. Poltro Bravino's going-away surprise party had brought together the scientists he currently worked with and the interdisciplinary natural photographers he'd worked with in the past. These two circles, this Venn diagram of his life, had conspired to celebrate Bravino's upcoming expedition, to wish him luck and happy swimming. He spent the first hour of the party snaking a slow path around the laboratory's cafeteria, thanking each photographer for coming and each scientist for arranging this all. He shook hands, repeated his confidence in the mission, and promised he'd circle back. When he greeted everybody, he excused himself quietly and took the elevator to an upstairs lab where he checked each piece of his suit and each component of his equipment, then stepped into the aquarium. 60 tanks, ranging in size from 5 gallons to 20,000. There was an octopus who could solve Rubik's Cubes, an albino lionfish, a cuttlefish who made eye contact. The room was beautiful and serene, scientific and comforting. Beneath him, the party hummed. Bravino sat among the tanks, enjoying the company of the sea life and practiced his breathing, and did not descend until the downstairs noise dissipated. Poltro Bravino kicked onward through the deep ocean, lower and lower into the hadopelagic depths of the Mariana Trench. He checked his artificial gills, his desalinator, his thermoregulator, his excretor, his baleen net. He counted his vitamin pills, examined his gloves, noted his vitals. He took deep breaths. As he swam, he photographed the many things he saw, the interesting, the beautiful, docile sharks, snailfish, a whale fall, shapely crustaceans, rocks, the blue expanse of endless life. When he was tired, he anchored and slept. When he was hungry, he ate condensed krill. Along the sandy topography of the trench's basin, Bravino sought an opening, a crevice. Already he was farther from sea level than the peak of Everest, but there were more depths to explore. Cracks in the floor of the world, too maze-like for sonar, too narrow for subs. Unseen thousands of miles of cave and chasm, caverns and interconnections for Bravino to document. He checked his flashlight, his camera, his suit. Poltro Bravino descended, a gaping maw, black, nestled inside a forest of tooth-like crags, deeper into the deepest gash in the world. Into the stony ground of the planet he was swallowed, slipping into the forgotten spaces. The fish did not follow, darting and lulling where Bravino dove. The ravine twisted and branched, jagged and contorted. It was not claustrophobic, he told himself. He'd prepared for this. He swam through the passages, the endless lung-like labyrinth where every gnarled wall was beautifully unique, yet equally lifeless. He photographed. He checked his equipment. He breathed. It was cacophonously silent between his measured breaths. There were no ghost fish, no worms, no barnacles. It was all empty. The rifts he could not fit through, Bravino aimed his light into. Some were narrowing dead ends. Some opened back up into veins and chambers he hoped to find in further exploration. All were shadowy and hollow and quiet, Bravino breathed. His fingers checked his suit, that pressurized shell, and it felt thin. He floated through the black and endless hallways, on and on, the stone architecture only repetitive in its impossible individuality, like an infinite museum of dark, dead rock. Breathe, check. Photograph each lifeless stone. Breathe, check. Poltro Bravino, for the first time in this entire expedition, felt utterly alone. In these 2 months, he'd of course felt tinges of loneliness, missing the crew he'd worked with in the years leading up to this mission. They'd been like a family. But Bravino had known he would be away from humanity for many months and had prepared accordingly. He enjoyed being alone. He'd hiked the Appalachian Trail alone. He'd spent 2 years as a wildlife photographer in the Alps alone. At his going away party, one former colleague had engaged him in a question of solitude. The sad, listless emptiness of the heart, she'd called it. Bravino had nodded, but until this very moment did not understand the emotion she had been referring to. Here, in the dark, so dark his flashlight but melted into the walls, where the sun had never warmed, for it was too cold for warmth, where eyes had never seen, for it was too empty for sight, where sound had never sang, for the silence even smothered his pittering heart, where the water sat and rocks sat, and darkness seeped through his suit, through his skin, through his soul. Here, Bravino felt lonely. He felt microscopically small and entirely isolated. The emotion struck him with both a trembling despair and a piercing regret, as if some piece of equipment he'd neglected to check suddenly broke. If only he'd expected this, it'd be so much less crushing. Earth, Poltro Bravino had believed until this moment, was synonymous with the life on it. Everywhere he looked in the natural world, the planet teemed with flora, fauna, fungi, bacteria. It defined him, this belief that Earth meant life, but here it was not true. The rocks were impersonal and historyless, the water frigid and empty. There were no deep sea vents, no fish, no stubborn barnacles. Now he saw Earth for its sad geological reality. A massive composite of stone, hot in the center, cold to the edge, with a tiny infinitesimal fuzz of life around the surface. Unimaginable little things, scuttling, flickering about, a rounding error in the planet's mass. Here was Poltro Bravino, a single iota, deep enough under the nanometric crust to glimpse the stony truth of the world's bulk, a grain of sand sucked into the sun. In the endless trench, he floated and held his breath. There was nothing to photograph. There was nothing at all. Thank you.
Give it up again for Will. So hi everyone, my name is Chloe Spots, and as you know, I'm not just an MFA student here at Chatham, but I'm also the founder of Broken Bottle Press. Broken Bottle publishes nonfiction that is hard to say, but must be let out into the world for others to read. That's why with every publication, illustrations are included. Of course, they are there for the readers to color, for both reader and writer to de-stress themselves, but they also match each essay's content. Broken Bottle Press works for writers willing to break out and express themselves. Girl Etched in Time, Aaron Lewis's chapbook, is its first publication. Now let me tell you this. Aaron and I go way back. Not that way back, but like way back. We had several writing and lit classes together in Allegheny College. But more importantly, we shared a bedroom in Thassos, Greece for 3 weeks during a writing workshop.
I think Aaron can agree with me when I say that really accelerates a friendship. Sitting on the porch of our stuffy, not well air-conditioned room, I got to know Erin, what she writes, what books inspire her, what makes her tick both as a reader and a writer. She came to Grace thinking she was going to write only fiction, possibly even come away with a teen romance novel to publish. But that didn't happen. While I was busy writing sonnets about mosquito bites and broken bottles, Erin was quietly typing away lyrical prose, crafting beautifully honest nonfiction without saying a word. Over the past 3 years, I've had the great privilege of watching Erin's writing evolve, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. I've seen her become more open on the page, admitting the hard things that many writers would avoid altogether. No matter the genre, Erin brings a kind of vulnerability that feels real and unguarded. Whether the story is imagined or taken from reality, she doesn't hold back. As both a reader and fellow writer of nonfiction, that's something I deeply admire and appreciate about Erin's writing. Erin's work leans into physical detail and emotional precision. She notices everything, the way people talk, the small gestures, such as the way strangers shut or slam car doors, the objects in a room, like the waves and ceiling paint, or the subtle details and dynamics within a family. She does this even when it's uncomfortable. And because of that, it's almost impossible not to keep reading, to keep following wherever she takes you, even when it hurts to read. Tonight, Erin will be sharing sections of Girl Etched in Time, the nonfiction chapbook we're here to celebrate. Believe it or not, that is the same nonfiction she wrote while in Greece. Erin C. Lewis is a creative fiction and nonfiction writer. She studied creative writing at Allegheny College. Her publication debut, Girl Etched in Time, is focused on different points of time in her life. Her collection covers a range of topics from healing and loss, the little moments of joy, and how all those moments change you. Now please join me in welcoming Erin.
Thank you, Chloe. I was going to try to get through this without crying first, but we see how that went. Like Chloe said, I'm going to read some nonfiction from Girl Etched in Time, going with some of the more lighthearted ones for this group. This is Observations from a Gas Station Cashier. 4 p.m. Clock in, 5 hours to go. 4:08 p.m., first customer of the afternoon, a regular, Monster Granny, as my coworker calls her. She walks in, grabs a basket before disappearing into the cooler section, returns to the counter, and unloads 15 white zero sugar 16-ounce Monster cans. She does this once a week. Her hair is just as white as the cans as I scan them, talking about having to go to work later today. She smiles, says bye, carrying 2 double-bagged plastic bags with bright red "thank you" across them and out the door. 5:30 p.m. Customer 3, a lottery regular. His cane assists him as he limps through the doors and over towards the counter. He tucks it between him and the counter as he pulls out his tickets from the week before. No winners this time. He gets all the same numbers again. 10 tickets later, he walks back out the door and into his rusting minivan. 6:12 p.m. Customer 8. His crooked yellow smile as he leans on the counter fills me with unease. Swisher Sweet Sugar. He throws a wink as I set them on the counter and scan them. $60 on 12, diesel. Thanks, sweets. His eyes sweep over my chest, ignoring or simply not caring about the high school logo displayed on my shirt. His smile widens as he stares. Total gets paid. He stays at the counter smiling. Have a nice night. I say, please just leave. I will now. His eyes travel down again before he leaves. 7:20 p.m., customer 10, another regular. Mom and daughter coming from gymnastics up the road. You can get 1 candy bar. She sets 3 on the counter. The mom rolls her eyes and tells her to put 1 back, She sighs, grabs 2, and runs and puts them back. A pack of gum and Pall Mall lights are put on the pile. Once scanned, the daughter grabs the candy bar and rips it open. They leave with a thrown, "Have a nice night," and you too, as the daughter runs outside to their Jeep and pulls on the back door until it was unlocked. 8:50 p.m., customer 13. "Hello, careful, the floor is a bit wet, it was just mopped," as soon as they stepped into the store. Muddy footprints track across the floor all the way back to the coolers. 2 Red Bulls are set on the counter without a word from them. "That'll be $5.64. Money thrown onto the counter and he walks back out. "Have a nice night," called out to the slamming glass door behind him. 9:05 p.m. Doors locked, lights off outside, open sign turned off, counting register down. Someone pulls in, gets out, and pulls on the door. Looking through the door, they raise their arms at me. "Sorry, we're closed." They get back in their rundown car and speed off. Safe drop is done, bag packed, homework tucked back in. It is still not done. The rest of the lights are shut off and the alarm set. 45 seconds to get outside. Grab the bag of garbage before rushing out the door. Make sure the door is fully shut before clenching the house key between my knuckles and walking around back to the garbage. Once the bag is thrown in, I call my mom and talk to her while I make the 20-minute walk home in the dark. I'm going to read the final piece as well. It's a short one, but slightly dedicated to Chloe. Bloody Knuckles. I traveled thousands of miles away from home. I spent an entire month in a land I hadn't known before. If asked, I wouldn't have been able to pinpoint it on a map. When I traveled back home, I realized I left a piece of myself there in Thassos, Greece. A piece of myself will forever be there, drinking wine and eating octopus, wearing matching outfits with my roommate accidentally to dinners. Part of myself is stuck there in the grapevines, like the wasps dancing in the honey at breakfast. A piece of me changed while there. It changed the second I got on the first flight and I was on my own. But when I was there, that's when the change really began. I laughed without caring how loud I was. I danced. I ate. I drank. I talked and shared stories about myself that I thought would never see daylight. In Thassos, I was able to be a different version of myself that my PA self never imagined. A version that didn't worry as much about what each day would bring. A piece of this version of myself returned with me to the States. I am happy that this piece survived the long journey back. But there's still a piece of me still there. Dancing with hazy eyes under a grapevine ceiling, stumbling back to the room, desperately trying to open pre-mixed cocktails bought at the beach mini-mart. Slicing my knuckles open and laughing with my blonde and purple-haired roommate before disappearing for a while, returning to the commotion of music night with bloody knuckles. Scars are still etched in my skin and hers, connecting us to each other and back to the part of ourselves that we left in Greece. Every time I see the little white lines between my third and fourth knuckle, a smile finds its way to my lips, and just for a second, I feel like I am back in Greece. I can hear the waves crashing against the shore again and a breeze whispering across my skin.
We're going to take the briefest of breaks while we have some tech to set up for the next reader. While that's happening, well, we're going to start, Bobby, right? I want to acknowledge 2 people who are in the room who gave us the great gift of their wisdom and their talents this semester, and they both happen to be Chatham MFA alums who took this class when they were students a bunch of years ago. I don't know how many, and also who ended up in publishing. So Amy Lee Heinlein of Lefty Blondie Press and Christine Stroud of Autumn House Books are both here. They both helped us out this semester. We really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for being here too. So maybe there's time outside to get a glass of water if you want to, but don't go too far because Bobby's up next.
It's still early.
And he took one class in arts and architecture.
What's that?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, everyone. We're going to start the next reading now. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Bobby Kusk. I'm the founder and editor of Waypoint Comics. I started Waypoint because I love the comic medium, and I've seen so many brilliant creators get undeservedly overlooked by the big three. I wanted to work with someone as passionate as myself on that subject, and Liam Umel fit that bill. His world and characters drew me in with a warmth and honesty I could tell took great care. From the broader history of the reconfiguration to the smallest moments of Marn and Fa around the campfire, passion oozes from Obelisk in ways that made me desperate to read beyond the to be continued. William Umel was born in Evanston, Illinois. He studied creative writing at Lancaster College and graduated in 2021. Shortly thereafter, he began work on Obelisk. He has no formal training as an illustrator, but views Obelisk as an opportunity to document his evolution as an artist. Currently on his 4th issue, Obelisk occupies most of his free time that is not spent walking or biking with friends. He lives in Minneapolis. Liam is hard at work on a journey that I can tell is very bright, and I'm honored to introduce his work to you all. Reading an excerpt from Obelisk #1, please give a warm welcome to William Umel.
Hello, everybody. Groundhogs are super cool. I know they're like squirrels to all of you probably, but I think they're special and rad. I'm just gonna get right to it and read this comic. Okay. Look what I snared. Sorry I'm late. Ah, our meal grows richer. Thank you, Darren. Well done, Darren. But tell me, did you help Russ begin clearing the furs from the winter hall? Here you go, Nana. I'll help Russ tomorrow. Very well. Wow. At least he caught something this time. We'll cook the both of them tonight. Pilgrims be damned. Not enough time to salt and smoke these. Pilgrims be damned indeed. They'll be back soon enough, Arella. Keep chopping. I don't usually worry like this. I know. If Taryn wasn't already missing, I know, darling. Taryn's a very capable tracker and a fair shot. He's older than Amir and all true, but he's also brash. Don't forget, his mother was supposed to go with him. It was to be his last bonded hunt, but he was too proud to accept her. There's no out shooting a sprained ankle or soaked clothes. Amir is sharper than that boy. Besides, she'll have Falmer with her. She has his reflexes, but she has my restlessness. Orella, your restlessness is my restlessness. That is precisely why I worry about her. Will you tell me about the crossing you led? Again? Okay. The pilgrims told us it was the year 10,000. And I was thinking, 10,000? And for the first time, I grasped the age of this world. What a fall that was. Anyhow, as you know, that crossing was where I met your father. He wouldn't leave me alone after I killed a mountain bear near the Garing crevasse. Wait, what? That was the same trip? Yes, I've never seen a man so stiff. Ma, please. May his peace outlast those of the mountains. I love you. A buck, 5 rabbits, and a satchel full of drapna berries. The sled will be heavy going back. The burden of bounty. Good thing it's your turn to pull. Right. How? You did well today, Marn. Soon you can take Darren on his 6 nights. Thanks, Fa, but I don't think anyone could last 6 nights out here with Darren. Ah, yes, the sleepwalking hunter. What was that nightmare he had the night before you and I left rest? He dreamt that the furs in the storeroom had come to life and were slithering up the walls. I woke up to him screaming, of course, and realized he'd thrown my sleeping fur into the kitchen. Hearing that, I'm not sure I can blame him for screaming. Now, Amir, what's been eating at you tonight? With Karen missing, the pilgrims coming here feels wrong. All the time and energy and worry being spent on their arrival is misplaced. Everyone should be worried about Taryn. Those who are able should be out here with us. I thought as much. The arrival of the pilgrims takes on a different light once one begins assisting in the preparations, as you, of course, have. It is a lot of work. There are those who indeed believe it is hardly worth it. Everyone is worried about Taryn, Amir, but even if the pilgrims weren't arriving, the snow will be, distant as it may seem. We can't let up on our effort to store food. I know you want to cover more ground on our search, but more than anything, this must be a successful hunt. Life in rest is unrelenting at times. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Marn, about Taryn. It's okay, Fa. I know the stakes. I'm just dreading the sight of them feasting when they've never even spoken to Taryn. Some of what they'll be eating was struck down by his bow and gathered by his hands. I understand completely. You're always excited by the news they bring, at least. 5 years worth of stories from across the land. As I get older, I can't help but feel that news from lands I'll never see isn't worth the seasons of effort we put into stockpiling. Are you forgetting the medicine and salt fish from our kin at Gabal and Narid Nis Gabal? Or the golden flower of Stanaban? There's toil, often unseen, behind every gift. And the pilgrims bring us these necessities upon their tired backs. I'm not forgetting anything, Fa. I'm just struggling to see beyond here and now. Why should I? Being born in rest weaves you into a great myth, Marn. To the most devout of Grotesca's pilgrims, we Ressians are almost otherworldly, bridging our world of yew, pine, and mountain to their world of faith and the progeneration. For now, that might feel like a burden, but someday, I believe you'll do the impossible for the pilgrims. You'll lead them through the Tendergrass Pass, as your Nana did. Of that, I'm certain. In bringing them to Gabal, you will walk the ground from which they believe humanity itself rose from the emptiness. We serve a purpose, Marn, however convoluted it indeed may be. Thank you.
No. Okay. Can you hear me okay? I tend to be quiet. Okay. Okay. So hi, I'm Elena Polimsky. I'm the creator of Voids Press. My goal with Voids was to give voice to the strange, experimental, queer, and absurd. And I would honestly say that Talena found me almost more than I found Talena, even though I was the one to reach out and ask for this manuscript. She had previously submitted to a literary magazine that I started in undergrad. And when I was assigned the seemingly monumental task of finding someone willing to actually trust me with their hard work, I returned to the hordes of magazine submissions and specifically to her darkly whimsical prose poems that I had flagged for later. It was the absurd yet relatable honesty of John Wick struggling to access an online healthcare portal and the train on Mars with no utility other than its sheer, audacious, and completely disturbing existence that pulled me in the moment I read it, and which I recalled as exactly what I'm looking for this project. Talena's poems are dark, absurd, hilarious, and full of tension, but also full of so much care. And though I don't know her well or have known her for long, she has been an absolute joy to work with, and I'm honored to be a part of her writing and publishing journey. Please welcome Talena Morse-Erickson.
My gosh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Wow. Okay. Usually at poetry readings, there's 4 people, so but I'm happy for all 4 of them. So the first poem I'm going to read is a poem called Evidence, and I wrote this poem. I have a dear friend who is an atheist, and he always kids me because I'm not an atheist. And I just tell him that he lacks imagination, right? So this is my poem dedicated to him. Evidence. I present to you 2 delicate strands of DNA, double helixed, herded by my collie into existence, glowing like the Arctic Circle's midnight sun, a half-light of golden awe. I give to you 3 circles of grief, 2 of injustice, 1 set of pure footprints over the ash that lingers from when Jesus hallowed hell. His footsteps still go there because hell is cold and bony, and Jesus is warm organic herbal tea, hot soup with boiled vegetables grown from earnest compost. There he forged the metal of the just when he breathed holy fire on Hitler and bitch slapped that evil cannibal pharaoh whose name I cannot recall. I submit to the court desire, a yearning that impales, not like thorns, but like those ancient shafts used to kill horses in battle. If only a man could stand his ground in the name of glory to undercut the advance and resign himself to a CSC funeral arrangements. Who but a perfect God could create a world in which what we want is never what we need, and longing drives us forth into the arms of strangers who rape or heal, but can never satisfy the manic question that lingers in our cerebral cortex. For at the same time that perfect pleasure of longing was born forth by contractions so powerful, Mother God wept and cried out to herself. I tell you, and I mean it now, that she stretched and moaned and arched her back, masturbating violently in the vast nothingness, and at the apex of her orgasm, she cried out, and with a flash of light they now call the Big Bang, our world was created. Infidels, it isn't called the second coming for nothing. I'm leaning into the microphone like it works. It cracks me up. Okay. It's just habit. I'm so happy to be reading poetry to so many people. Okay, so this next poem is called Debitage. And when I go down these weird rabbit holes, as I think a lot of us do, and so I was reading about archaeology, and I read that in archaeology, when they're digging up the stone tools, they see all the waste
that was created from the stone tools. And that actually gives them more information than the stone tools. And I was like, God damn, that is a metaphor for my life. I am 58 years old and the waste is giving me a lot of information. So, okay, so the epigraph for this one is, debitage is a term used by archaeologists to refer to the waste materials produced during the manufacture of stone tools. Whereas at first one might assume that such products are inconsequential, they are in fact some of the most useful artifacts archaeologists use to understand past human behavior. There are 3 things I wanted. You were only one of them. You were taller than the Holy Spirit, which is even taller than an NBA player. And do you remember when the Spirit used to be a ghost? I miss the ghost. When I realized that you too were a ghost made up of 3 parts of my awful childhood, 2 parts of my wretched fear of the world, and 1 part of an adolescent addiction to Kathleen Woody-Lees and Lauren McBain romance novels. I focused on the 2 other things I wanted, but by then I had forgotten what those 2 things were. I got out a little brush like they used in the first Jurassic Park movie. I knew there were a lot of dinosaur bones in Wyoming, so I decided to start my excavation there. But the ghost of Dick Cheney stopped me at the border and told me I loved too many queers to pass this day. I didn't realize that they had allowed ghosts to join the border patrol. I traveled to California next, where everyone believes that they are better than me because they live in California and they are having a deep, authentic experience, which I can never have because where I live doesn't have nice weather. In California, I needed an industrial-sized broom to sweep aside the egos and the minor celebrities, but I found nothing there I wanted as much as you. The California sun touched my skin while I sifted through the sand, but you were still lodged in my uterus. You were just one big pang of longing whenever I ovulated. Why do women have so many eggs when at most we can have 1 child a year? I saw a TV show once where villains kidnapped beautiful college women and sedated them and impregnated them, and then they sold the children the women didn't know they had. I heard it was based on a true story. Back in Michigan, my arms were sore and I needed bifocals to see where to dig next. The dust surrounded me from my state's first drought in 27 years. There would be no apples this year, and my lilacs didn't bloom. I walked to the edge of the lake. It wouldn't be conquered by 1 bad drought. In the distance, I saw a coal-burning ferry polluting the sky, but it looked like a postcard from the perfect summer. I thought, fuck digging. I took off my glasses and waded in. I knelt down in the wet sand. I put my face in the water, and I opened my eyes. So I have 2 poems here that aren't in the chat book because I wanted to give you extra value, right? 2 poems from each other. Anyways, so unfortunately, my oldest daughter, got really sick in 2021. Won't go into all the details, but I thought it'll be really good for me. She was an adult, obviously, but it'll be really good for me to be around kids. I've always loved kids, so I decided I was going to work at the elementary school. That's just down the road for me, and they always need help in the lunchroom. So this poem is called Lunch Lady. They tell me why they were late to school and why their father says they mustn't eat beef. They offer me hamster stickers from their sheet of 100 to decorate my lanyard and ask for ketchup for their potatoes. They tell me that diarrhea is inherited. It runs in your genes. They say she started it and they would never throw food and that their older brother tripped them on purpose this morning, and that's why they're trying to peel an apple with a straw. Their faces are as bright as Midwestern moonlight to me. They shine like rain-clean sidewalks in affluent suburbs. Each one of them is a mysterious island hidden from Google's satellite view. I pray for them all. Mary, I say, Mary watched her only child die, and this is why I pray to her. Please save them from drowning in car accidents. Save them from hunger and cancer. Save them from rape, addiction, stroke, diabetes, mental illness, Alzheimer's, poverty, suicide, tornadoes, and guns. Oh, Mary, why do they all remind me of the little gosling I found by the side of the road when I was 17? I wanted so badly to save it, but there were already maggots eating the necrotic flesh under its tiny wings. My father said it was suffering, and then he placed it on the cracked cement of our garage floor and crushed it under the heel of his steel-toed boot. I sneaked them an extra chocolate milk. I let them return to their classrooms to get their mittens. I cut wedges from oranges they can't peel. I tell them I had a friend who kept poking me in the eye, and now I don't see her anymore. I accept a kindergartner's hug and a first grader's "you're mean" with equanimity. And I try so hard to forget the sound the Gosling's bones made under the weight of my father's boot. So this is a brand new poem. It is fresh off the presses just a few months ago. So the anniversary of me and my husband's first date is next month. We met each other 37 years ago, had our first date 37 years ago, have been together ever since. He is retiring soon, and this is my retirement present to him. And you guys get to hear it first before he does, haha. It's called 37 Years. Bunny, I roasted some carrots with olive oil and kosher salt, the good carrots, not the already washed baby carrots swilling in their own slop that I buy when I'm depressed. And I've opened the bottle of Sancerre I got at Costco on the cheap. Sit down. I'll put your travel mug in the dishwasher, and then I have a few things I would like to say. You see, life has tried so hard to turn our shoulders inward, to turn our chests into funnels. We didn't have any sort of wisdom to combat it, and we're not warriors. We're not Mel Gibson yelling freedom and Braveheart while he's eviscerated. You and I both know that I sat on that bench in the mudroom and cried and wanted nothing more than to leave this family and live anywhere else. And we both know I sat next to you when our daughter was sick and put my head on your shoulder and knew that there was no place else I would ever want to be. We were like a single dying creature then, a bison that had been standing blissfully grazing on the plains when some asshole on a passing train put a bullet in us, our lungs filled with blood. But we're breathing again now, aren't we? You have incurred the depth of my childhood trauma, and I have paid for the patriarchy's view of what a man should be with this, my own woman's body. Sometimes now in summer, I spend days by myself while you finish a career that has taken a toll on you I will never fully comprehend. And at times I feel exultation in the aloneness, but I also miss you more than I can ever express in these words. This is what I'm trying to say, that we love with both hands, the left and the right. And maybe everyone in a long marriage does. I can't speak for them. What I'm saying is the heart holds it all and pumps it out to both hands. And the left takes what has to be carried and shouldn't have to be borne. And the right chops the carrots when I'm not too depressed. Your right hand has folded my laundry and your left has carried my extended family and the grief of our daughter. See, and when we walk together and hold hands, my right hand is always in your left. And we each still have one hand free to do and carry what the heart says it must.
Let's have a round of applause for the publishers and for the writers. So now we would love to invite the writers to come up and sit in these cushy chairs that we have here and take some questions from you all. I know the publishers have prepared a couple questions for their authors too. A couple of minutes of Q&A, get to know them, and then after that, I hope you'll visit the press tables, buy a book, get it signed. There's still cake, etc. Come on up.
Oh, thank you so much. I love yours too. Thank you so much. Sit right here. Yes, exactly.
My sister made it like 2 days ago. Last minute. It's beautiful. This is perfect. Family story. That's awesome. I love the burgundy color too.
I'm back again. Okay, so this one is geared towards Erin specifically. So I'm going to read it for you. I know you've read a lot of literary fiction, which has greatly influenced your writing journey since you were little. Has any of those craft techniques from your fiction seeped into your nonfiction? Did you happen to rely on any fiction techniques to push your nonfiction forward, especially when your content posed a challenge?
Yeah. Especially through working with on this project with Chloe. I was also doing my senior comp for my undergrad right now, and that is a literary fiction focus thing. So there's a lot of literary fiction happening all at once while writing this and everything. And I definitely take a lot of elements from that and put it into all of my writing because I do fiction and nonfiction. I think the biggest thing from it is a focus on detail that I try to do and try to really put a reader kind of like in the shoes of the person that the story is happening to. Like I'm trying to make them visualize it as much as possible and really be able to like see that. And that's like the biggest thing. I try to do that in both my nonfiction and my fiction writing.
Wonderful.
My question is for my author, Selena. Your poems are often so personal, but also very imaginative and inventive and surreal. So I'm curious to know what inspires that aspect of your writing the most, or like where these out there images come from.
Thank you, Elena. Thanks so much. Well, one part is I read a lot and I have a lot of interests, so I think anytime you're just collecting new information, you see connections, from your reading, from poetry to nonfiction to fiction, you see all these different connections. I think sometimes I have really weird dreams and I jot them down. The one poem that I didn't read tonight about the train on Mars that goes in an endless loop and that people watch on their streaming service. That part of that came to me in a dream. There was this train in this red dirt and I woke up and I was like, why am I dreaming about a train on Mars? I was like, oh, train on Mars, all right. So part of that, I think my subconscious is really kind of just completely mangled. So there's that part. Let's focus more on the reading. No, I'm just kidding. So the mangled part. And then I think also, like all of us, I've just been so inspired by like all of the poets out there that take chances, that actually share of themselves, and all the writers that are brave enough to stand up and say, here I am, a completely and utterly flawed and screwed up human being, and I'm standing in front of you and saying, I've had these thoughts that are very dark, and I've had these thoughts that are full of joy and comfort, and I've had all of these thoughts even on the same second, same minute, same hour, and I like to put all of that into a poem because I feel like it makes it real to everyone, because even if you're not identifying with whatever you might identify with John Wick and the healthcare portal, like how am I going to type in that, whatever finger authentication, you know what I'm talking about, when I don't have a finger anymore, right? So, but thanks. That's a great question. Thanks, Lynn.
Well, I have a question for Liam, and it's about the artistic side of Obelisk. You said you've used this book as a way to develop your own style, and I was curious if you had any direct inspirations for certain interesting aspects of the book, like your panel composition or like the eye shape of the characters. If you had any direct industry inspirations for things like that.
Totally. In terms of the panel shapes and stuff, I'm a big fan of Berserk. If anyone is familiar with that, obviously, I'll never even get close to something like that. But I like breaking the panels. I think it's really interesting when things sort of creep out from panels. I really like lots of fields of just pure black and darkness. That makes my brain happy. In terms of the eyes, no, eyes they're really hard to draw, and that's more or less what I found worked for me. Eyes and large, sharp, angular noses is really what I don't know what works, I guess. Yeah, thanks, Lauren.
So Rowan's not here to ask Will's question. That means we can ask you to ask Will a question.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Your story is kind of like deeply viscerally scary and like an iron lung way.
Claustrophobic.
But your like your character has such a silly little name. I'm so curious about why he has that silly little name.
Wow, what a good question. Every time I write a story, the first thing or like early in the story, the character will of course get a name, and it's like whatever 7 syllables are in my brain, and I throw it together. So in the creation of the name, it did not have a meaning, but as I looked more at it, I found meanings that I think were really cool. So Poltro is kind of like poultry, but it's also like poultry the bird, but poultry like not meaning very much, being not important. Poultry with like an A, and then Bravino is brave in Italian, I think. I don't know. It was a fun name. I don't like stories that are about Mike and Jeff. I don't remember who they are if I read the whole book. So I always try to give my characters a wacky name. And I like having fun with them. So it is kind of a contrast to the sort of existential horror that I make my little guy go through.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions from the audience? Oh boy, lots. In the back, please, Maya, let's stand up and
I have a question.
project.
I'm forgetting your name, Will. Yes. I feel like your story reminded me of a lot of science fiction set in space. And I'm not entirely sure if that was an inspiration of yours to kind of switch it up and put it in an ocean setting, or if that was just my brain.
Yeah, I definitely was thinking about those extremely hostile environments that humans are just not built for. So space and the bottom of the ocean. The story really started, rarely do my stories start with a visual. I don't really have a visual brain. But I had this strong image of just a guy alone with like a huge ocean around him and how lonely it would feel. And so I wanted to kind of bait the audience to think that he was going to, his equipment would break and he would get crushed, or his flashlight would turn off and it's like Twilight Zone, it's dark. But I wanted it to focus on the loneliness. And I thought of a lot of those space stories where something, there's an alien or there's a horror of like equipment breaking. And I didn't want to do that. I thought that I really wanted to focus on like the human aspect. The whole book is about people and the art they make. And this one is kind of the least art related, but he's a photographer, it counts. So I wanted to focus on that loneliness. So yeah, I definitely was inspired by the tropes of space and deep sea and those hostile environments, for sure, yeah.
Thank you. Others? I saw some other hands. Over there.
So I have two, quick. First, for my dear friend Bill. As you know, I'm a geologist.
Yes.
The Earth means a lot, and so hearing you describe the rocks as historyless first, even if they've been there for a long time. But the scale of the Earth is something I think about all the time. Obviously, deep time probably the most impactful. Just like we talk about billions, like I throw around millions of years, like it's nothing, and like that's not nothing. And so my question is kind of when you think about kind of how big the Earth is, and like you mentioned it, how it's like the shell on the outside is basically nothing compared to the actual radius of the Earth, which is many thousands of kilometers. Are there any other ways in which like that sense of scale that you see in the Earth has maybe impacted your writing at all, or is this kind of just a one-off story that I know you said it was like the darkest of all stories?
That's a great question. I definitely agree that the scale of the Earth is like baffling and really hard to picture. I will also say the rocks in the middle of the ocean are the youngest, as you would know, because of the magma or whatever. Not quite historyless. Oh, sorry.
The trenches there, the trenches around the edge.
We'll talk afterwards. But the other stories are not as nature focused, but I love nature. It doesn't always fit into the themes of my stories, but like the size of the world, I don't know, that's getting almost towards like Lovecraft horror where things are so big that you can't understand them. And I don't know if I've written like that before. This definitely was a story that was a little outside of my normal writing style, but I try to write something new every time. So it was a fun thing to talk about. I did definitely have to Google a lot of words, and I hope that a hatchetfish and a tuna can live next to each other. I was like, saltwater fish that live deep. Scrolling through the list for things I could pronounce. Yeah. Thank you.
My other question is for Aaron. Maybe I missed it. What caused the bloody nose? I and maybe I just missed it when you were talking about it, but like you talked about the visuals of them and how you remember them. Maybe it doesn't matter what caused it. I don't know. Like, can I ask that?
The bloody knuckles were from trying to open a bottle of booze without having a bottle opener. So, using rings to pry up the side of it, wherever Chloe is. Whatever we could do to try to get it open, and that literally led to us cutting our knuckles open on the bottle cap.
Broken bottle for a reason.
We did open the bottle though,
Yeah.
most importantly.
Yeah.
We did get it open.
Thank you.
Others? Right here.
My questions for all four of you guys. So you guys like a little different. Each four of you have a different like genre and a different medium. So I was just wanted to ask like, what drew you to your specific medium and genre, and like how does it work to like serve like what you want to like put out?
Oh, me first, I'm sorry.
There you go.
I was like, yeah, how does that work? Talk to me about that. So I actually write quite a bit of nonfiction and fiction also, but I have written poetry most of my adult life. I think that I'm paraphrasing someone and I'm probably stealing it, but that's okay. That's what all of us writers do. But I really think that poetry is the way to say true things that we can't say any other way, through combining things and through certain emotions that are evoked through images that, you can try to say that in fiction sometimes, because sometimes fiction is a great way to tell the truth too, right? And sometimes nonfiction is a great way to tell a story. But I think poetry gets into those places of our hearts that like you can't get to any other way. And I think that's what draws me to poetry is you have an image or a line and you're just like, that's exactly how I felt on that Tuesday when that guy cut me off or whatever. You know what I mean? It's that level.
I love fiction and I love poetry. I don't really do nonfiction. I don't know a lot of things about real stuff, so I like to make it up. But I've always loved like words and sounds. When I got into writing, it was getting into poetry, and I would write like poems with meter and rhymes and all these beautiful little like alliterations and assonance and consonants, and they would be nothing. They would just be words that I thought were cool and sounding good together. So I did that for a while, and my creative writing class was always very confused when I would get up there and read something. But I love stories, and when those two like joys came together, that I could write fiction that sometimes would delve into that poetic side with alliteration and wordplay and made up words. I love made up words. They sound good, and they mean something to me. So I like to try to blend a little bit of poetry and a little bit of fiction. When I first was like, I'm going to be a fiction major, I was like, I'm going to write books. And that's really hard. I feel like a lot of us are writers. It's so much harder than it looks and it sounds and it seems. So I've done a lot of short stories and a lot of poetry, and I like to try to blend them, but no nonfiction. No way.
Like I've said, I write a lot of creative fiction and creative nonfiction. And I feel like what I write tends to overlap across the two. A lot of my fiction writing has many aspects from my own life in it and added to my characters. My nonfiction is just kind of blatantly saying, this is something that happened to me and this is a story about it. And I really focus on writing about moments of life that happened, ranging from happy moments to moments of grief and loss. I wrote in this one a story about losing my dad, and that greatly influences a lot of my writing because I went through it at such a young age. So a lot of like what I try to do in my writing is create the stories that I relied on as a kid going through that and try to have that in both my fiction and nonfiction.
I wrote a lot of fiction in undergraduate and was convinced that I was going to write a book after graduating. It is very hard. And I found myself drawn to the kind of vulgar immediacy of comics. I just sat down one day and started to try to directly, like one-to-one, project things onto the page, even if it didn't look as good as it looked in my head. And I just kind of decided to not stop. So for now, I'm rolling with the comics. Yeah.
I love the vulgar immediacy.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think in the interest of time and making sure we have time to circulate with the books, I'm going to thank the audience for the questions, thank the writers for the answers, thank everybody for being here. Enjoy. One more round of applause for
I saw you, I DM'd you on Discord and I said, look to your right. Because you were over there, and I was standing right over there. I didn't have my Were you already here? I was I realized I was wondering if the bank they are expensive. You know the beach stretch of like you go past it. Are you on the first row? Again, I'm gonna go to yeah. Because I know, like, last time you showed me was just like.
Hi, excited?
I'm very excited. I didn't see you here.
Where were you? I was sitting right here in the front.
I saw
Yeah, he is, and that's my mother. That's Bobby's grandmother. This is Blaze. It's going to Japan.
Free everyone over here. And we're on the camera too.
Oh, hi, my big butt. There we go. Hi, Rowan.
I'm Blake. I'll be in Japan. Nice to meet you. Listen, your pool, you live right next to it. I've been in your pool.
It's gone now.
Yeah, I know.
It's gone. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
helped
just like-
my brothers put 24 tons of rock into the pool to fill the pit. It was a pit.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Awful. Thank you so much for coming over. It means so much to Bob. Thank you. I'm so proud of him. And I really think publishing, like, that's his place. Really, watching him work on this was so very cool. So he, I don't know if I told you, he's working on his own comic. And originally, his thought was, I'm going to finish my comic, I'm going to start my publishing firm by self-publishing my comic. So I think now is something maybe Liam and you work together some more about that. Yeah, I really think that this is his place in writing and publishing. So.
9 days ago, and it came like 2 days ago. So I got my like a great show. So I know. I was like,
Yeah, but the band is like 30 kids this year. Yeah.
She's gonna go to Japan same time Bobby.
I think it's going to start to go back up. Joe's wife always said, she's like, 2 more years, and then the beginning band and the middle school programs, we're going to start seeing the numbers go up, and then it'll come back.
Yeah, it's a on the live transition. She's like right here. She's on the opposite.
I can't even imagine with all that construction. It's crazy there. I think Christopher graduated the right time. But I struggled this fall. I mean, I was like depressed. I feel like I'm not even a mom anymore. Like, where's all my central stuff? And somebody said, well, there's a game at CMU. Do you want to go to a game? I said, I can't go and watch all those band parents do what I can't. I just am not ready. So I didn't think it would affect me that much. You get close to people there. I have gone out to dinner with Carolyn Needle. Yeah, her and her husband went out to dinner with Mike and I love Carolyn. Okay. Because you don't do enough. You have that extra 10 minutes. Well, tell Andy and the girls I say hello, and I'm so glad everybody's doing so well. I will. You know you're one of them. And I'm sure my boys are not the only ones that say that coming out of Yes. Yeah, but I could not have gotten 2 more different personalities out of it. They were, I always said to the Catholic school teachers that I worked with at St. Bart's, they say, you have such great kids. I say, I don't take all the credit for that. They spend a lot of time with me. I appreciate that. Take care.
Yeah. I might go there. So after this trip, I'm flying back to my sister's flying, and I'm staying there for like 10 days. So I don't know if we're going to go like, I don't know.
She took a bike ride down a volcano.
Yeah. Yeah, people are not pedaling.
With the bike helmet, it was like with an astronaut's helmet. It was like this huge yeah, well, my dad didn't go down on a bike. He went down in the Jeep. She went on the bike. I told you, why is her favorite place?
Yeah, it's like you do it. Nice to meet you. We're gonna head out now.
Cool. Yeah, I've never done anything like this before. He's not allowed to call the job girl and make it Japan. It is your job to make sure.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I don't need it.
If she comes to the United States and it's
Yeah, okay.
tell me for years, how long was this out there?
Don't do. Yeah, my parents will tell you how hard it is having like a kid.
Right, yeah.
She's been there for like 1.5 years, and she's coming back like December.
All right, and my boyfriend is all around, he's military.
Yeah. So after the end of the 2 years, she's actually. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, baby. Hello. Look this way. Hello, I'm the girl with the ticket. Who has a ticket in their hand when they got one, when they walked in? Yeah, so I'm gonna call a number, and if you have this number, you get all the books for free. Wow. Pretty cool, I know. Okay, so the number is 51856-029. Woo! Woo, okay. Awesome. Yeah. It was fun.
Because I really, like, have the ticket, I want to do this.
So I was like, well, if everyone just buys one, like they're gonna have
Yeah, I have to
That worked. Oh, I won. Yeah. That's what I want for. I told Lori, I said I wasn't gonna want to give them the money.
Good stuff. Thank you. I totally forgot.
Lori thinks she's like in charge of this. Lori's in charge of this. Are you?
I don't know.
Mommy would happily let someone else do it.
I usually not the leader of most things.
They've all done their own, you know.
Yeah.
Collaborative.
Oh, there's
And you're
I should get my box back.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I didn't get that. That's
Everybody walked like, wait a second.
And you give you like this package whole view. But especially talking with Yes, we will be there early because we can't figure out how to put it on wood. Yes, we are. It's grown and heavy. But I just want to thank you so much. This is a wonderful I think oh, what ice cream? Oh, you're gonna pick up this?
Thanks for sticker and crayons and. I like it. She's trying to write it. Check it out.
Crazy about banana drinks. Well, I don't know, it's like, so sometimes they look like
Oh my God. Yes, you get Aaron.
I know it is.
Let's just trade it.
Actually, yeah. Can you give me wine? Yeah, I like it really hard.
Same.
Yeah, we all have the same glasses. That's why I was at it because we're in the same place. Yeah, I know, I just want to know you honestly sent me your information.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, mine, that's it.
No, I just think we're pictures of this somehow.
Can I help you clean up chairs?
I would love that. I gotta remember where it.
Sweet. You direct. I can do the motion.